I found my biological father, but his wife told me to leave them alone. Ouch.
Ooh.
Ouchie.
What did your father
Wah, wah.
say?
Backstory. It all started a few months before I was even conceived.
Whoa.
We're going way back. My biological mother, let's call her Chloe, was engaged to a man who we will call Carl. So Chloe was working at a Walmart while engaged to Carl and decided to cheat on him with her boss, who we'll call Harold.
Not Harold.
By the way, this comes from Throwaway Adopted Girl, and if you want to submit your own stories, go to r/OKStorytime subreddit. We just might read them for ya. So Harold had no idea Chloe was engaged until they had been dating for a while. Things are going well between them until one day Harold catches Chloe on a date with his best friend. Wow, so she's just going down the line.
I was like, wait, is his best friend her OP's dad? But no.
I don't think so.
I think she's literally, she's like,
yeah, she's like, you don't need degrees of separation. I'll be there. I got you.
She's like, I'm going to cheat on you. I'm going to cheat on my husband. I'm going to cheat on him.
This leads to a big fight where Chloe hits Harold and he has to lock her out of the house to protect himself. Oh, wow.
Oh.
She calls the police on him, and due to the crappy domestic dispute laws in their state, they both spent the night in jail.
Ugh.
Wow. Somehow Harold is blamed for the incident and is ordered to take 2 years of anger management and decides to never speak to Chloe again.
Valid. I wouldn't want to speak to her either. She sucks.
A few weeks later, Harold gets a text from one of his friends telling him that Chloe is pregnant and that Harold is the father. Wow. He immediately calls BS because Chloe is not only engaged to another man who is probably the father, but was also being intimate with many other men.
Yeah, he was like, you're not about to mamma me. Mamma me.
Mamma Mia.
Yeah, you're not about to mamma me.
You can watch Mamma Mia, but you cannot Mamma Mia.
And that's what he said.
And I heard
that
say
straight from his mouth.
So he brushes it off and forgets about it. A couple months pass and Harold gets a call from an adoption agency saying that they need to talk to him.
Ooh.
Chloe has decided to give the baby, hey, that's me, up for adoption, and Harold needs to sign some papers since she put him down as the father. He agrees to sit down with someone from the agency, but only to talk to them about the claims. So he meets a representative and tells them that he doesn't think he's the father. The guy from the agency goes, oh great, just sign here then, and hands Harold the documents to surrender his rights as a father.
Why don't we just do like a little test?
A little quick DNA test.
DNA. He's right there.
Might as well.
Spit into a cup. I don't know.
Whatever it takes.
Let's I feel like, I don't think I'm the, like, we have a way to make sure.
Yeah. That does sound funny. He's just like, I don't think so.
And they're like, okay, cool, like, I guess. Yeah, sure.
You don't have to be if you don't want to. You can make that choice, I guess.
Okay.
Meanwhile, with Chloe, she has the baby with her fiance in the room, which gives me infinite respect for him. And the baby is adopted 3 days later.
Does the fiance stay with her?
I guess.
That's crazy.
No, maybe she didn't know.
There's
right?
Like he didn't know?
Maybe the fiance didn't know about the cheating. Unless they did.
That's crazy. No, because she labeled another person on the birth certificate as the father. So I'm assuming he would have seen that. And also they're putting the kid up for adoption, so.
Yeah.
I feel like.
And Chloe went to jail. I'm sure that fiance
I
figured
feel
that
like
out.
the fiance was like, something's up.
Yeah. Unfortunately, the baby, who is me, was born with a slew of genetic illnesses, and I end up in the hospital only 20 days later because my kidney was collapsing on itself. Wowza. To save time, let's just say that growing up, I spent a disgusting amount of time in the hospital. My health was in a perpetual downward spiral, and every time we found a solution to one problem, a new one would pop up and wreak havoc on my tiny body. It all came to a head one day when I was 13, when I was in so much pain that my doctors thought I was having a heart attack. I wasn't, but I hadn't been diagnosed yet, so they had no clue. So after being told by my doctors in the hospital that I had a heart attack, my adopted dad, who we'll call Marcus, freaked out and finally reached out to Harold for the first time. He asked for his medical records so that they could better assess the situation and decide what to do. Here is where the problems started. The first incident. So while I was busy being cripplingly ill, Harold had forgotten all about me and started a new life with a woman he had met a month after my birth. Let's call her Heather, because she reminds me of Heather Duke. They had 2 sons at the time, and Harold hadn't told Heather anything about maybe having another kid. To clarify, I wasn't there for this part, so I am only telling what I have been told happened. So Heather finds the email that my dad sent to Harold and absolutely loses her mind. She thinks that he cheated on her or something and blocks my dad on Facebook and starts messaging Chloe on Facebook. So hang on. So
okay, so OP's adopted father, right?
Father, yes. And then
messages Harold, possible biological father,
right? Asking for medical records.
Harold's new boo, Heather, sees this and she's like, "Oh my God, you're cheating on me.
You have a baby?
You got a baby? Yeah.
Dang."
And that's where we are.
Now, this is where the story gets a little tricky. I have been told 2 different versions of this event, and honestly, I'm not 100% sure which one is true, so I'll just tell both. So, we have Chloe's version. This is the story of OP's life, Chloe's version. Taylor's version. Heather started sending a mass amount of hate and harassment to Chloe, basically telling her to step off and get away from her man. Heather insisted that Harold wasn't the father and that Chloe was lying. By this point in time, Chloe was already married and had 2 daughters that she kept, one who belonged to her old fiance and one who belonged to her current husband, and had also built a relationship with me. She read me some of the messages that Heather sent during a weekend I was spending with her and my half-sister almost 4 years later. She said, I quote, "Her grammar was atrocious, but I didn't think correcting it was the right way to go." Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, she probably would have been. Yeah. She's like, "Hey, girlie, are you cheating with my husband? Yeah. You're the worst." And then she types back, "Wrong, you're."
Yeah, she just has like a yeah. What's that called? An asterisk. And then
yeah, she's like, "YOURE."
That'd be hilarious. So now we have Heather's version. Heather reached out to Chloe to talk to her about the situation and what she wanted them to do. Chloe snapped at her and said, "There is no way that my parents would put me through a paternity test." Because Chloe said that, they decided to not pursue the test. After these communications, all contact was lost and my dad lost Harold's cell phone number. The whole interaction ended with no paternity test and no medical records. And we have recent events. Okay, now that that's out of the way, here is what has happened in the last month. So my health has progressively gotten worse and I now have to apply for disability if I want to pay for my ungodly amount of medications. Very sorry about that, OP. The lawyer I hired said that having a full family medical history might be helpful. So I asked my super smart friend to track Harold down so I could contact him. Long story short, I got his number and left him a voicemail that was basically me just begging him to help me and that I was sorry for intruding on his life and begging for him not to yell at me. He called back after like 20 minutes and to my extreme surprise, he was happy to hear from me. He said that not contacting me was one of the biggest regrets of his life. We cried together on the phone and I told him about the genetic disorders I have and how I was worried for his kids. He assured me that they were healthy and I cried because I was relieved. We talked throughout the week until eventually he had to fly home from his business trip and tell his wife what was going on. Needless to say, it did not go well. Heather was pissed and demanded that we limit contact until the results of the paternity test came in. Unfortunately for her, it came back positive and confirmed that I am his daughter.
Which could have all been like, all of this hullabaloo could have been avoided if he had done the paternity test.
Yeah.
When they said, "Hey, dude, I think this is your daughter," and he said, "No."
He said, nah.
He said, I don't think so.
Nah.
Couldn't possibly be.
Yeah, this really, really could.
Yeah, that's frustrating.
Here is where the story gets sticky again, because I have been told 2 different versions of what happened during the last week. Harold's version, so many versions.
A lot of versions.
You just can't know what's going on.
Can't keep track of all these versions.
So Harold's version of what happened during the last week. Harold and Heather got into a big fight and she made him tell her sons what he did. Maybe it was meant to humiliate him, but if so, it backfired because his sons were so excited to have a sister.
Aww.
One of
She's like, "Tell him!" And he's like, "Boys,
so
before
sorry.
you were born, I had a daughter." They're like, "A sister?"
Like, what? One of them compared me to Shazam, I think. Harold left to go on another trip for work, and he and Heather fought right before he left for the airport. He called me while he drove there and told me all of this and said that he didn't want to lose contact with me again. I was so happy he still wanted me around, but I was sad that I screwed up his family. He told me that it wasn't my fault, but I still felt bad. It's not your fault, OP.
That's not your fault.
The family was screwed up before he even got here.
Yeah.
I hate to break it to you.
Yeah, they screwed themselves up.
Yeah.
If this is how Heather's reacting,
Right.
I don't think that you are the problem.
Not at all. I got Heather's version of events much later at 11 p.m. when I was trying to eat my ramen. She's like, let me just have my noodles.
Trying to eat my ramen.
Just have my noodles and my soup and just leave me be.
Is that a crime?
Come on. She messaged me on Facebook and claimed that this is what really happened. Heather's version. Harold was unhappy about the test and said that I was too much, too fast, but wouldn't tell me that because he didn't want to hurt my feelings.
I don't buy that.
I
don't buy it. Heather's trying to stir the pot.
Exactly.
But it won't be stirred because this is an Instapot. And you don't need to stir an Instapot.
Yeah. They told their sons and they weren't happy about it either. She told me that Harold hardly has time for his kids and I was forcing your way in. Now, I am a very sensitive person and I have a habit of breaking down over the smallest things because of other stuff that's happened in my past, but that's not relevant right now, which is why I'm very proud of how I handled this. I texted Harold and told him that his wife contacted me, and within seconds, he called me and asked me to read what she had said. I read it to him and also read the apology I sent to her. He apologized on her behalf and asked if it's okay because I sounded like I was crying, which I was, but I didn't want him to feel bad, so I just told him I was fine. I was just tired. I asked him what I should do, and he told me to just be myself. So I apologized to her again and again while she snapped at me, and eventually she stopped, and I got to go to bed. That last part makes me kind of sad.
Yeah.
Because, I'm sorry for laughing, but it's like funny in like a oh no kind of way.
I mean, Opie's like, I'm sorry, and she's like,
well, because what's this guy's name? Harold. 'Cause Harold is like, it's like, don't worry, just be yourself, do whatever you would naturally do to respond. And then she's just like, no, I'm so sorry. Like, you don't need to respond like that. You can be yourself, but you don't need to like, fall in to all of this. And again, I don't mean to laugh.
No, but
I do feel bad.
Yeah, no, I literally OP's like out here like, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
And yeah, it feels like when you're like trying to pet a dog and it's like, and you're like, it's okay. And they're like, and then they kind of like get tired. That's what it feels.
Yeah,
like,
absolutely. Things were quiet after that, and I tried not to message them because I didn't want to get yelled at again. This morning, I got diagnosed with severe scoliosis and yesterday with epilepsy. And since those are usually genetic, I texted Harold and told him that he might want to get his sons tested for it. Apparently, this was a bad idea because Heather proceeds to message me and then tell me to stop texting them and that I was not helping their marriage. What?
I feel like you, Heather, you're the one not helping the marriage. Yeah. Honestly, I would block Heather.
Yeah.
Like, don't message Heather. Just don't have a relationship with Heather. And then you can't ruin anything with Heather.
Exactly. I tried to explain that I was just trying to help and asked her to please stop lashing out at me, but she just texted back with, I'm not lashing out. We just want you to leave us alone. Take that we out of there. I know that's not both of you.
Is that the royal we?
Yeah.
Are you the freaking king of England?
Yeah.
Or the queen of England, I guess?
Are you? Either way, are you? I haven't responded back because her message really hurt and I just shut down and fell asleep to cope. I apologized to Harold, but he hasn't replied to the text, which is making me think that maybe they really do want to leave me.
No, I think that Harold is probably just like getting yelled at by Heather. Absolutely. and now like every time he texts you, he's probably, she's like, what are you doing? Are you texting her? Are you texting your daughter? Blah, blah, blah.
Right. Or I wonder if Heather's even like deleting the messages.
Possibly. She might be accessing. Yeah, because how else would she? I mean, Harold might be telling her about all of these conversations, but also she might be looking at them.
He's been like disagreeing with her and stuff, so he's probably like, if he did see it and disagreed, like he would probably say something.
Probably.
Hopefully. It's making me think that maybe they do really want me to leave them alone, but I also know that Harold told me the exact opposite. My anxiety is having a field day and I have absolutely no idea what to do. My main goal in this situation is to preserve my relationship with Harold and try to get Heather to like me. So what should I do? And there is an update, but what is our answer for her?
Oh man, I think my answer partially at least, is to block Heather.
Yeah.
Stop responding to her. She clearly doesn't want a relationship with you, and she's trying to sabotage your relationship with your biological father.
Yeah.
So I think it's just going to be easier for everyone if you're like, hey, Heather, I'm not going to be talking to you from now on.
Right.
I don't think it really matters if you necessarily have, like, you can be nice and you can be, polite to Heather, but I don't think you have to have a relationship with her.
Absolutely not.
Like, she has to get over herself. This is your biological father.
Yeah.
Who also wants to have a relationship with you.
Right.
And she can't stand in the way. I mean, it's not like he didn't cheat.
Yeah, exactly. Like, none of this is your fault.
No.
Like,
you're also an adult, so it's not even like there's any sort of like care that goes into this.
Right.
Like, in terms of monetary or.
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
it wouldn't be like
a
problem in that way. But yeah, no, it's none of this is your fault. If there's problems with their marriage, like even if it was because of things that you were involved in, like that doesn't like whatever you say or like text her or something like that, it's not like they could still have a fine marriage even without that. You know what I mean? So like even if they are having problems because of that, it's not your fault. You know what I mean? Like they don't have to have problems.
Exactly.
So just you just know what you did was right and ignore Heather because she's not making any sense.
Agreed.
But again, there was an update. So, hello. Sorry this update has taken a while to come out, but I promise there's a good reason for it. My girlfriend drove down to visit me for a week and I was preoccupied spending time with her. I was also really hoping that the news I have to share with you would change. So, long story short, I took the advice I was given and muted Heather's messages to me.
Good. That was the advice I gave.
She heard you speaking and she listened to you.
I love
that.
that.
That's amazing. The stuff she was saying to me has really gotten to me, and at this point, I am not quite sure if I'm the bad guy. I called Harold and talked to him about the situation and told him that I don't think it is in my best interest to be talking to his wife. This is where things took a bit of a sad turn.
John, you've been dancing a lot.
I'm going to give you a live demonstration, and you're going to see it too.
Show me those hips. Oh, damn. That is a good move. But you know what is also an amazing move?
What is that, Sam?
Becoming an OK Storytime member.
Yeah, that's freaking right. We have 60 plus hours of exclusive live streams on Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays.
And it's only $5 a month. So go to the link in our description, youtube.com/OKOP show/join.
Well, let's get back to the story.
Harold agreed with his wife and said it would be best if I just left them alone for a while. That hurts my heart.
The thing is that I don't think that's what he actually wants.
Yeah.
Given how he's talked to you before,
Yeah.
I think this is Heather pressuring him and saying like you're ruining our marriage.
Absolutely.
All the things that she's been saying to you, he's been probably getting tenfold.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, if she's like this, if Heather is being this like crazy wild card, like it just in this situation, like you could just imagine what's been going on in, like any other parts of the marriage, I'm sure he's been getting lots of grief from her.
Absolutely.
I was stunned for a few moments because this is the opposite of what he had told me less than 24 hours earlier. That said, even if he had said something else beforehand, I know that I have to respect his decision. I told him that I would stop all contact, and when he is ready to talk again, it will be on him to message me. That's where the call ended, and we haven't spoke since. Oh my goodness. It sucks. I'm kind of hurt. I have no right to be hurt about it, but I still am.
You have absolutely every right to be hurt about it.
Oh my goodness.
This is your biological father, who you found and wanted to have a relationship with, and said yes. And then his wife is getting all up in arms about it. You absolutely have a right to be upset.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I've come to the decision that it's not my job to make them like me. This was probably not going to end any other way. It's painful, but it's the world we live in. I'm sorry I don't have a happier ending to share, but I'd still like to thank you guys for the amount of support and loving messages I received on my first post. I don't think I could have endured this without you guys and the validation you provided me. Thank you for taking the time out of your day to send such kind messages and helpful advice. I appreciate each and every one of you and am sending you virtual hugs. And there's an edit. Yo, I got on one of the Reddit YouTube videos. Oh, you got on another one too. Let's go. Apparently, everyone on YouTube either thinks the story is fake or that Heather's sons don't belong to Harold. Ooh, interesting. Also, I still haven't heard anything from Harold. I'm starting to think that something is either very wrong or they genuinely don't want me around. I've stuck to my word though, and I am not contacting them. By the way, we will always stick to our word by telling you that we have more episodes with stories just like this. Just go to Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or whatever your favorite podcast app is and search OK Storytime. And we've got that there for you. I pinky promise you.
Do it.
Pinky promise. But there is a tiny bit more. Edit number 2, in October, 2 things have happened. 1, I needed to reach out to him because my cat got sick again and he works in pet insurance and care, and I asked him for advice on what insurance carrier to use. It was cordial and completely professional, no emotions, and nothing other than business. It hurt to see him act so cold, but that's his life. Number 2, his wife, who my dad, Marcus, now refers to exclusively as Heather, updated her Facebook so that it says, "Stay in your lane, witch," directly under her name when you click on her profile. Whoa. I feel grossed out that she's acting like I'm some jealous lover who wants to steal her man. I'm his kid, not his affair partner.
Literally, she's acting like he's like cheating with this girl.
That's crazy.
This is his daughter.
There's probably other reasons that weren't said that like support that is directly towards OP, but I wonder if that's like towards anyone else though too.
Yeah.
And she's just like this with like
a lot of
everyone that
people.
tries to make a connection with him, no matter what kind of connection it is.
Yeah.
But I have no idea. Also, I'm going down to see my girlfriend this December. She's been the biggest help and support throughout this disaster. If I ever get a more significant update, I'll ask the mods to let me post a part 3. I doubt I'll get one though. I think this is where the saga ends. I have an adopted dad who loves me and a biological mother who loves me. I think I can be content with that.
Man, oh man.
And that's the end of that story.
There you go.
Wow.
I mean, it's not quite a happy ending, but you know what? You are not responsible for Heather and Harold's behavior.
Yeah.
And if they're gonna act this way, that's not on you. That's on them.
I agree. Yeah.
If you want more stories like this, search for our podcast, OK Storytime, on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen to podcasts.